So I'm
I'm
glad.
also likely to lie to you about something just for my own entertainment. Have I ever told you about my favorite game to play with people?
Lying to them.
No, it's called Expert, and it's like an improv game that we played in high school, and
I think I've
and
done this.
basically like you just pick a goofy subject, and then that person's an expert on it. So like you'd be like, I'm an expert on sunglasses, and people would ask you questions, and you just respond to it authoritatively, and that works.
With made up
right?
bullshit.
Yeah. So I play that game all day, every day, all the time.
I did something similar to that once. So you remember? We'll get back to doing your research in a minute. You remember when you were in elementary school or kindergarten or whatever? People would say like, "Hey, if your hand's bigger than your face, you've got cancer." And if you were uninitiated, your first instinct would be to put your hand up to your face, and then they would take their hand and smash your hand into your face.
Yeah.
And that's how they get you. That's the joke. So this was about 2, maybe 3 years ago. I was at work, and there were these two guys. One was they were both truck drivers, and one we'll call him Chris, and the other we'll call him Matt. And Chris knew what I was up to, so Matt comes in, and we're talking about something cancer, and I said, "Well, you know what cancer is, don't you?" This part was true. I don't know why it came to me to do this. It said cancer is a mutation within human cells or any sort or living being cells, where the gene that tells that cell to stop reproducing gets corrupted, and so that gene just continually reproduces unabated. And that part is true. I said, now, and this part I made up. I said, now, that gene is also linked to the gene that controls the size of your hands, your feet, and your genitals. He goes, really? And this guy, like, you kind of have to know the guy. You'd tell him something, and his jaw would drop open, and he'd go, no. So, and my other guy, Chris, over here, he's kind of following me, but he's like, what's going on here? So I said, that gene is linked to the gene that controls the size of your hands, your feet, and your genitals. So one really easy test to see if you're possibly at risk for cancer or have had cancer in your life would be to take the distance between the tip of your thumb and the tip of your pinky finger when they're splayed out and see if that is wider than the distance of your cheekbones. Because that gene has been affected and your hands and feet are going to just continue growing. And so he goes, no. And at this point, Chris knows exactly what's going on and he's getting his hand ready. And so Matt goes, really? And he takes his hand and puts it up to his face. And of course, I reach up to him, pow, got you, motherfucker. If your hand's bigger than your face, you got cancer. It was kindergarten, you son of a bitch. Got you.
You're a child.
I am. It was great.
Yeah, I love when you do something like that, and other people join in and
Corroborate it.
Corroborate it. Yeah, I was out at this party one time. It was a post-show party, and we're talking. It's me, the guy that leads the band, and the sound guy. I was the lighting guy / video guy at that particular night. And so we're talking, and there's this pizza place in Tulsa called Mary Jane's Pizza.
Oh yeah,
and they're open from like 11 to 4:20 or something. That's their hours.
4:20.
Yeah. So
wah, wah.
so we order pizza from this place because we finish at 1 a.m. and it's like 3 a.m. right now. We're all drinking in the backyard of somebody's house, and so someone goes to get the pizza, and we're talking with the band leader, guitar player, and the sound guy, and I are all chatting, and he's like, "Man, that Mary Jane's Pizza, like, that has to do with like marijuana, right?"
No.
And we just go, "No, what do you mean?" Like, well, 11 to 4:20. We go,
yeah.
"No, I don't think it has anything to do with that." Well, what do you mean? Oh, well, the guy that runs it's Chinese. And I don't, and this is going back and forth. The guitar player and I are both adding details to this story. No intercommunication. So it's like, well, he's Chinese. He's like, well, what does that have to do with something? Well, his family still lives in China. So he works, the opposite hours so that his business hours are the same as the business hours in China.
So that he can talk to him.
So you can talk to him because he's interfacing with them, and that's where they're getting a lot of their stuff. And he's like, oh, well, what about the what about the 420 thing? Like, oh, well, that's like 5:30 for him because
Yeah.
in China, they do everything by the 20th. So as opposed to like going by the half hour, they go by like the 20th, the third of an hour, 20 minutes. So they work 11 to 5:20. They take a 20-minute lunch. Like that's why. And we're going back and forth telling him this. And the best part about those stories is that you know that person is someday going to be at a party.
And he's gonna drop that like a red
And is
pill.
gonna to bring that up because it's the best. It's not when it's a prank. It's when you because he was like nodding along. Like, oh yeah, they do stuff by the 20th in
does
China.
make sense,
And
yeah.
I just know someday he's gonna be at it talking to people. He's gonna be like, well, in China they do everything by the third of an hour on the 20th instead of the 30s, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about?